We are now in exec. Did everybody get a copy of the SB 165, the amendment?
60.
Mine says 165. Why does it say one? Oh, you know why? Because that's the one I'm going to testify later. See, I can be taught. I can be taught. I haven't pulled out 65 yet. There we go.
All right, yeah, 65 is mine. You want to start right in the top?
Yeah,
All right.
65.
Senate Bill 65, I'll move on to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to offer amendment number 0474S, you should have on your desk.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Is there, okay, you can speak to your motion.
I shall, thank you. So this was a bill that I had put in with the solar industry, and we've had a great discussion between the industry and the folks at DES in the capacity of looking at all of the changes and the concerns that the bill raised, and they have come up with what I feel is a great compromise, and that is reflected in this amendment. And essentially, it will establish a permit by notification process for putting in the panels. If you remember, this is the one that was dealing with water runoff rules.
Yep.
And so they've come up with a great compromise here that I'm offering in this amendment, and there'll be some follow-up work that's done later on relative to that permitting as they go through the fall, and both sides were happy. So I would encourage you to take a look at this and give it your consideration, and I hope of your approval.
Both sides are happy?
Both sides are happy.
All right, further discussion. All in favor of that amendment, 0474S?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Your motion to move
I'll
as,
move on to pass as amended.
is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor of the bill SB 65 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Consent.
Second.
Senator Waters on consent, seconded by Senator Pearl. All in favor of consent?
Aye.
Aye.
And Senator Pearl, would you like to take this
I'd be
one out?
more than happy to.
Senator Pearl is going to take it out. We're almost done.
Oh, you got one.
All right. So second on my list, does everybody have this list that
I do. Yep.
Tricia made for us? So let's do 107. Any thoughts on 107?
I'll move. Let the pass.
Second.
Seconded by, well, it was a tie for second.
Senator
so
Rosenwald.
Senator Rosenwald. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer Amendment 0370S.
Second.
I don't have that.
Hopefully it's in your book.
Discussion.
We don't have a book. This amendment clarifies the discussion we had around the phrasing of, on line 5, any federal monies, to clarify that it's just the non-game species funds. That's all it does. Senator Lang was fine with that.
Okay, so that was going to be my only question.
Yeah, I went over it with him. It was fine. It just
Copies of it?
clarifies.
Did we get copies?
I was never sent a copy of the amendment.
Well, I have it right here, so.
Yes, I reviewed that and I'm fine with it.
And you described the change was very, it was.
It just clarifies that it's not all the federal funds that Fish and Game gets. It's just the ones directed to this purpose. That's all.
Are you good?
I looked at it with my
Specifically
finance
for
lens.
This specifically
The words,
by law, those, yeah, it seems fine to me.
you got it?
I
Okay.
had LBA drafted, so it wasn't me.
No, it's all good. All in favor of Amendment 0370S?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve as amended?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Senator Waters, seconded by Senator Pearl. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
Consent?
Sent by Senator Pearl, seconded by Senator Waters. Turning off my phone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
You want me to take it out or
Senator Waters will take it out.
game, fishing, game stuff? And did somebody taking out 165, it's 65?
I am, yep.
Okay, I just didn't hear that.
108,
Move on to pass. I would like to offer amendment.
seconded by Senator McConkey.
Yes, and I'd like to offer amendment 0501S that you should have on your desk.
01S.
Oh, 0501.
Yeah.
If you have a second, I'll speak to it.
Second.
If I may, Mr. Chair, this is an extensive amendment. It looks extensive. We had a lot of testimony on this bill from the Department of Energy as well as other stakeholders. And I took all of that testimony and I blended it all together and put it all into an amendment. And then I sent it back through the Department of Energy for review. And they had a couple of minor wording changes which weren't substantive, but they were in order to get everything in order. And so the amendment I present to you has a whole bunch of changes and deletions and additions, but it is encompassing of all of the testimony we received, and I believe it covers everything we need to, and the department is good with it. I can go through all the changes if you'd like.
I just want to confirm that the department is good with the amendment? You're pointing to him.
Meg,
Wow. Megan, come on, do you want to make any comments on this at all, or are you okay?
Nope, if this was what was brought through, then we're okay.
All right.
this was the draft that was sent back to me from you. And I reviewed this morning to make sure all of the red lines lined up with this, so.
Senator
good.
Waters?
Yeah, Senator, I forwarded everybody that letter from the PUC. Were those changes incorporated?
That I did not get a chance to review because I literally just got this 10 minutes before we came in here.
I don't
Yeah,
think I saw that letter.
So
I'm
I
trying to
have not
find-
had a chance to review the PUC.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I think we ought to just pause for a second and take a look at it. I'm
Okay.
having a little trouble finding where in the amendment it is. It references, section 3, net energy metering, is that still?
That's now section 2, starting on line
That's why I
10.
couldn't find it.
Yep.
So, let's see.
Oh.
Is it possible to have copies printed out of their letter?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to pause on this one for a minute and come back?
Yeah, well, yeah, and I just, maybe you can find it, Howard, I'm just, my eyes are not, there's,
Boy, that's small.
yeah, okay, so
There
it's,
you go. These young guys.
Oh, I don't.
it's down farther.
Oh,
Okay, so here, and I'm having trouble finding where this was in the bill. Right here, okay.
Issued.
See, you want, and the commission, and orders issued, and this is what I think you,
Spent metering tariff shall be at, see, that's all skipped.
No, I don't.
I wasn't copied on that email, so I don't have it.
Max doesn't have it.
The letter from Fish and Game.
let's pause this and get that, because I mean, if they.
Can you send it to
said
Max?
Yeah, I can, pretty particularly that they wanted that language, I think we always look at it.
Okay.
Can
So
I
you-
ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Of Senator Pearl.
Yes.
So,
You're on.
from the hearing, my notes say that the PUC asked who would be in charge of setting the tariffs. Does your amendment address that, and where?
Thank you.
I will have to review exactly what we did on that one. There were so many different changes that we had.
Megan, do you know?
I think that is exactly what he's talking about right here. It's now section 2, and about the net energy metering tariffs. And I believe.
That's on line 32.
The amendment line 13, 12 and 13, it starts. And yes, it does go down to line 32, correct.
12 and 13 are strikeouts.
Shall be made available to customer generation, such commission shall approve alternative net metering tariffs. So on page 2, it says, standard tariffs shall be made available to eligible customer generations until the commission approves alternative net metering tariffs become available. Does that help answer the question?
No, not really, because the question was, who sets them?
And it isn't the commission, obviously, such time as the commission approves.
That's what I was trying to ask Senator Pearl, if the amendment addressed who had the responsibility to set the tariff.
And then line 21, at such times the commission approves new alternative net metering. So is it the commission that approves these tariffs?
Standard tariffs shall be available to until such time as commission approves.
Yeah, right here.
Net metering tariffs.
On line 21, down,
Okay, are you-
down here, it says, issued by, blah, 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 blah. The
So
commission,
it's the PUC.
the rules administered or adopted by the department, then the alternative tariff shall be made available to the customer generations at such time as the commission approves the new alternative net metering tariffs. So who's making the changes? And the commission's obviously approving them, but who's making the determination on the tariffs? Is it the PUC or is it Department of Energy?
I would read it as the commission, but I may be mistaken.
That's what it says.
Yeah, that's the way I would read it too. I think we're missing part of this. There's a second page which actually highlights their changes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So if you look at this second page that you just received in their paragraph 3, you can see this kind of a lighter, lighter black. That was blue, and their change is highlighting this letter that you just received. That's what they had suggested.
The department and the commission?
Yeah, which is, that's in there previously. I mean, that's in the amendment, in Howard's amendment.
Right.
Yes.
It seems like the difference here is
I see it.
with
Without-
compensation levels and other pricing terms for net metering inflation being set by the commission according to the commission's rules, whereas you have such standard tariffs shall be made available to eligible customer generators until such time as the commission approved alternative net metering tariffs become available.
So what would you be comfortable with if we had to make a change? Because we can amend this amendment.
So, Howard, I'm not, I don't know if this is a kind of a, I don't think there's a dispute between the commission and how the DOE would do it.
It feels like a little bit of a turf war argument to me here.
Pardon?
Feels like a little bit of a turf war argument here to me about who's, I think we've given consideration to the commission in the language that I've provided.
Why don't we go with what you have, and if we find out something between now and session that needs to be reformed.
We can introduce a floor
But
amendment.
I hear what you're saying on
Yeah.
that, that you know, there's some back and forth.
Yes,
here.
it feels like that.
But the point of this bill is to move things over more to the DOE.
Correct.
So.
And I think the language we have is
All right,
reasonable
so
and recognizes the role
why
of the
don't-
commission.
Maybe you can just follow up with Green. I mean, you saw from the letter, they don't wanna talk to each other. Well, they can't, I think legally that's their
Yeah.
right, so, maybe you could follow up and see by the time it comes to the floor, but I think the approach in your amendment is probably, to my eyes, the better way to go.
I think it's the approach the bill is attempting to
Yeah.
take in the first place.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to make sure we
Yes.
saw it and talked about it.
Senator Rosenwald?
I'm delighted to do that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you've made us
And there's
delighted,
another
Howard.
body,
Yeah. All right,
so it's
so,
not the last word.
yeah, right.
That is,
That's right. Yeah, and they will pick it apart. So with that being said, all in favor of 0501S?
aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, would you like to
I'll
make
I'll move it off to pass as amended.
as amended?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Waters. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Consent?
any opposed? Consent?
Second.
Senator Pearl?
All in favor? Oh, that's you.
Yeah, all in favor, that's right.
Aye.
Yeah. Any opposed? Seeing none?
And I'll take it out.
And Senator Pearl, and putting in the footnotes, Megan gets a raise. Did a good job. All right, so that was 108. Any thoughts on 109?
Mr. Chair, I move and re-refer.
Second.
Discussion?
So, if I may,
109, yep.
in my conversations with Department of DES, since the budget has come out, there are significant, if I can say the word, changes that are already coming in this area within the budget process. And I think this bill sort of attempts to do something very similar, and I feel it would be good for us as a committee to have this bill and hold on to it right now and allow the budget process to work its way through and see if we can make the desired changes within the budget.
Senator McConkey, would you please be quiet?
You're just absorbing.
Yeah, no, I'm teasing you. All in favor, Senator Rosenwald?
So I read House Bill 2, and I noticed that a lot of this is in there, including a doubling of the fees, which I don't know how that's going to go over in the development community, but guess we'll hear when we get to budget hearings.
Well, I agree. I just don't want to, I don't think we want to have two competing pieces of legislation moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor of re-refer?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Seeing none?
Consent.
Consent?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who would like to take that out?
Senator McConkey, I think, raised his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, I would appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Senator McConkey. Waiting to hear your eloquent speech on that.
All consent speeches are eloquent.
Yeah, they are. I love them.
That's what I like about the Senate.
Yeah. SB 110, please. Is there a motion on SB 110?
Move as amended.
We gotta move it, the bill first.
To move up, pass, I'll second.
Okay, and it's seconded by Senator Pearl. And there's an amendment. Would anybody like to speak to the amendment?
Do I have the amendment? Oh, yeah, right here.
And the amendment is, where is it?
0516S.
Yes.
Are you moving that amendment?
I'm moving that amendment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Senator Rosenwald.
question. Thank you. So this seemed to be addressed in House Bill 2, also with the same amount of square footage and the same fees, the doubling of the fees. So I guess my question is, why are we moving forward with this if it's addressed in House Bill 2?
And we have somebody.
and not the previous one.
Right. Would the department like to talk about this?
Good morning.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Adam Crapo. I'm the Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Environmental Services. This amendment, we were working with the governor's office with a similar type bill language for HB2. Unfortunately, the deadline had passed to get some last minute changes. I think that Senator McConkey was seeking, and so this language is improved, and it has some. It took a piece out that is currently in HB2, so it's an improved version of what's in there currently, and so that's why the department is hoping that this would move forward.
Oh,
Well, I mean, the House has a budget. So did the department consider working with House Finance to insert language like this into the House version of House Bill 2?
We certainly could. I think the intent was to have a vehicle for, passed in the Senate to be able to say, okay, the Senate passed this, let's try to mirror that language in House Bill 2, and move that forward. We could certainly work with the House in their phase of the budgeting process to move this amendment as well. It's up to the committee, but this is a slightly improved version of what's in there currently, and so that's why we were hoping that this version would move forward.
bird in the hand instead of two in the bush.
So it sounds like there's some concern that the House won't adopt what's in House Bill 2 currently. And the Senate could protect its position. It's what I'm hearing you not say.
I think it would be good to have a Senate position on this one, and I
In
don't know whether
in
Senator Gator
case-
want to pass and table, but we'll have it.
Yes.
Right, it sounds
Yeah.
like
Better to have it not needed.
maybe
than
the
need it not
House
have it.
is not going to.
It's better to have it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Is all I needed.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of 0516?
Aye.
And any opposed? Seeing none. All in favor of the bill as amended?
You want me to move it on
Aye.
to pass as
I
amended?
move it.
Yeah,
Move
that's what I
amended
just
as
asked.
amended.
Okay, I'll move it on to pass as amended.
That's what I thought I just asked that. All right, all in favor of ought to pass as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Is there a motion for consent?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. And who would like to take this out? Senator McConkey, would you like to take this out? Yeah, so, great. You're doing a great job.
I'm learning.
Just turn on your mic next time.
Noted.
Yeah, we appreciate
I'll
you.
move mine over. We can-
All right, SB 111.
We already did it.
Yeah, it's done.
We referred
Why
last
is that on
time.
my list?
Oh, that's right.
Well, that just brings up the best one. SB 112. My motion to ought to pass on SB 112. Is there a second? Okay.
I think you have an amendment.
And we do have an
I
amendment.
move on to pass on 112, and I'll, after seconding, we'll move the amendment.
Seconded.
I'll second.
I move the amendment on 112.
And the number of that is?
It is 511. That's what it is.
I'll second that for discussion. All in favor of SB 5? Well, actually, we got to discuss it.
Discussion, yes.
511. Bruce, you want to come up and talk a little bit about this amendment at all, or are you all set? All right.
So basically, oh, I thought the amendment was keeping the 2 million cap.
That is great.
Is this the current one? So, this morning, 0511.
Oh, I thought the amendment was gonna keep the 2 million megawatt cap.
Yeah, I did too.
We're agnostic on the cap, yeah, so, we'll keep the cap. Where can we put that in the, on the?
Just
on the-
not do the strike.
Just remove the strikeout
Just-
on line 11.
Yeah,
11 and on 3031. I mean, I thought that's what I'd heard, some anxieties about
Yes.
moving the cap.
so
So basically what the bill becomes is the adding of the word existing, and then the Department of Energy is added to the determination. But is that what you had thought, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, for some, I don't know. Well, what I want to do is amend this amendment.
Yeah.
And so we're going to remove the strike on the 2 million megawatt hour, that's on line 11, and I believe on line 30 and 31
So it'll be a committee amendment.
as a committee amendment. All in favor of the committee amendment?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Are we now
Pass as
comfortable?
amended?
Move 112 ought to pass as amended.
I'll second.
Discussion. Yes.
I've really struggled with this, as Senator Water knows. It seems to me like high risk, high reward for the generators. And I understand from speaking with Senator Waters that guaranteeing this revenue stream to Seabrook would encourage them to make investments in New Hampshire. But I'm reluctant to do that on the backs of ratepayers. So I'm not going to be voting for it.
Okay.
I'm probably wrong, but it just, unbalanced, I'm not.
Thank you for your comments, and they're definitely appreciated. And the motion is ought to pass as amended on the amendment? Well, we're.
As amended.
As
Ought to
amended.
pass as amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll move consent. Were you allowed on consent?
Yeah.
All right, I'll move consent.
If I tried to get up and speak about this on the
We're
floor,
gonna make Senator Waters come
I'll
out.
be good.
Move consent.
Perfectly happy.
Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor of consent?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Seeing how it's my bill, but,
Go for it,
yeah,
chief.
thank you, thank you. All right, is there a motion on 226?
Move re-refer.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, I'm gonna sort of say the same thing I did on 109. We've got a lot of activity in the area, our landfills and within the budget, and I think it would be a good idea to keep this bill in committee and watch the process and the procedures of how the budget process moves through on addressing this, this very important issue.
I know Senator Roseford is really striving hard to try to come up with a resolve, but I don't think this bill is ready for prime time at this point. And so I will concur with you on the re-refer.
Yeah, and I would, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the leadership of Senator Rochefort on this. And I do think that what we'll be able to do is to, when we do get the budget, we can make very sure that if there are any particularities around the permitting moratorium that are not adequately addressed in the proposal from the governor, but whatever we get from the House, that will be an opportunity for us to make sure that the kind of protections he was looking for, if not the time period, but there are some of the things in here that I think we'll have an opportunity to really look closely at when we get the budget. So, again, good leadership from the senator, and we'll get something good done, I'm sure.
Senator Rosenwald, any thoughts?
I do.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to be voting for the re-refer, but that's
right.
my only thought.
All right. Senator McConkey, any thoughts?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your comments. So all in favor of re-refer?
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed?
No,
And Senator Rosenwald.
and I don't mind it going on.
Move consent?
Consent? All right. Second. All in favor of consent?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, do you think the senator would like to be able to have a chance to say something about this or not?
You know what, we'll put it on consent and he can pull it off if you'd
Okay,
like.
all right.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure he
He,
has that.
he might want to, but,
courtesy,
yeah, well, we give everyone in caucus the courtesy to
Yep,
pull things
good.
off. So,
Absolutely.
All right.
so Senator Pearl, would you like to take
You
it?
gotta vote on the consent.
All in favor of consent?
Aye.
I'll take it out.
Any opposed? Seeing none? And Senator Pearl. All right, so that brings us to 227,
Move
setbacks
refer.
for landfills. All right, 227, there's a motion for re-refer.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Waters. Discussion on this one as well.
I'm gonna give the same speech that I had. We've doing.
It was very eloquent, by the way.
Thank you. We're doing a lot of work in the budget on this, and I think that's the appropriate vehicle right now for this work to occur on our landfills.
Further discussion? All in favor of re-refer? Aye. Any opposed?
No,
Is there a motion?
Move
Okay,
consent.
hang on. So did you get that, Max?
Yep.
All right, and Senator Pearl said consent? Second. All in favor of consent?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And,
You might as well give me both of them.
yeah.
It's a good
Pearl
speech.
will take it out. Beautiful. Doing a good job, everybody. SB 228.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would hope we would hold off on this until the Tuesday after the break, because we still have time. I have, actually, I do have a version of an amendment, and I've sent you some information. Well, let me see, I didn't. Why don't I give you what I have, just so that I can talk for him in about a moment and see what remaining issues I hope we'll be able to.
So let's have a motion of
Resolve.
ought to pass?
No,
Just
we
to
don't
talk?
need a motion.
No?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
if that's, but let me give you, here's the background information. Let me pass this around. And then, let me, give you a version of an amendment so that I'd probably be talking with you in the next couple of weeks about where remaining issue goes, but let me just say a few words about it. So, this, as you know, has to do with limitations on customer generators. We had the hearing. There were some obvious errors about homeowners needed to be households. There was a question about could hosts potentially double dip? And then the other issues were the 3 gigawatts and then the 500 kilowatt issue. The conversations were held over the last several days with various parties and with the DOE. So Lindsay Burgoyne was able to at least draft this to have for us to think about over the next couple of weeks. I think that the issue of the double dipping has been resolved by new language that you'll see. I think that's wrapped up well. The error about homeowners being households, that's been fixed. A strikeout that shouldn't have been struck out about nonprofits has been restored. And then some clarifying language about the other nonprofits like educational institutions. You'll see that. Why I want to hold it for a couple more weeks is that I had a conversation about the 500 kilowatts. And as you may remember, there was concern about, we have the small and the large, the 100 and the 1 megawatt. And that if we put this 500 rate in there, it would raise concerns about that basic bifurcation being broken. And would it be possible to do the accounting, et cetera, et cetera. I had some conversation about, and even though the PUC, and an issue about whether it would be cost shifting. You know, the PUC did that study that says, meh on the
Right.
cost shifting. But I thought maybe it would be fair to say, okay, why not have a separate rate of net metering for the 500, and that would clarify that, if anybody still had questions about that, you would say that, well, it's not quite a large, but it's not a small anymore. I thought there was some work was being done on that, but there wasn't. I'd like to pause so that we have more time with the DOE to focus down more closely on what the remaining issues may be and what potential there is for some language. So that's, I mean, I think we made a lot of progress here. I think this is actually the position that, you know, you, Senator Avard, and others who co-sponsored wanted us to be at. Because as you see from Dan Weeks' letter, this really hits the sweet spot for helping people out and potentially cutting costs for transmission and other things. And the 3 gigawatts, I know, Mr. Chairman, you know, thought, yeah, you even said 5, but 3 I think is right for it. So I mean, I think we want to have a good position behind this bill, but I want to make, if we had a couple more weeks, I think I could, you know, just give the DOE really time to weigh in and see what we can do.
Any
So-
comments, Megan, on this or on the discussion at all?
We echo the concerns that you brought up that the department has.
All right. Yeah, if you can help us with, Senator Waters, with
Yeah,
the,
so-
any final, you know, tweaks that we can make it so that everybody's got the sweet spot, as you mentioned.
I really tried to have it ready. I
Sorry.
really did.
Well-
I didn't quite get there, but it's good not to rush on something when I really want us to see if we can't have the DOE feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Question.
Senator Rosenwald.
Thank you. So as I'm looking at the comparison of this draft amendment versus what you introduced, it seems to take out not-for-profit educational institutions.
You mentioned that, right?
And that, I didn't hear testimony saying that non-for-profit educational institutions being able to be a municipal host was a bad idea, but it's struck through in your amendment.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Megan?
I will have to double check.
Okay, all right. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, by the way.
Well, but you look above that, see the strikeout, Cindy? You look above it, and you'll see, not-for-profit education institutions or district or entity created for special purpose administered, so that, it's there.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
there.
public housing and not-for-profit educational institutions could be able to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it's in there. Yeah,
Great.
it's just, I'm sorry about, you know, since this is an OLS version, it's a little less clear as to
Yeah.
what is light and what is bold.
Thank you.
But it's in there. And I think the definition there was the one that responded to what seemed to be some confusions in the original version. But we'll have time, okay?
All right, so we'll hold off.
Yeah.
On this?
So sorry for taking the time, but I thought it'd be worth at least bringing people up to date now.
And hold on that one, SB 230.
So I do have an amendment that they didn't have time to get it drafted by this morning, but I have copies of it, which was a committee amendment, and I'll pass it around, and,
All right. So-
I'm talking about, so I'll move up to pass on 230.
I'll second for discussion.
There you go.
And,
So let those go around.
There is an amendment, there is not a number for the amendment, so this will
No,
be a
this
committee
is,
amendment.
this will be a committee amendment.
So, for discussion, we'll
everybody have
move the committee amendment, that's in the
I'll
Waters
move a
discussion.
committee amendment.
And I'll second for discussion.
So, just to recall, this was the laying out the plan for microgrids and the language about definitions and process and approval and so on and so forth. Yes, there is an existing microgrid study that is underway. And it will be issuing its report by June. So, despite my
Griffin, a copy.
impatience, I thought that we should hold off on that. So this is a replace all.
Okay.
All right?
That's the part
It's
I
a
was looking
replace all. So all the microgrid stuff is gone. What remains is the definition from the bill of the small modular reactors. I think it's important for us to have a definition in statute.
So this would be the entire bill?
Yes, that's the entire bill.
All right.
All right? Yeah, it'd be important to have the definition in statute, and I think, as I said in the hearing, at the up to 300 megawatts, that is the definition that is the Federal Nuclear Lab is using. There are a lot of smaller ones being built. House is some language around 80, but the ones that are being built right now by GE and by Google are this size. And then secondly, what is new here is it adds SMRs to the distributed energy resources, which I think is a very appropriate place for these to have a foothold in statute. And I'll tell you why. You'll see the distributed energy resources are energy storage, electric generation equipment, including clean and renewable energy generation, including SMRIs as defined, energy efficiency, damage response, and load reduction control programs, or technology devices located and connected to the entire distribution for the purposes of, but not limited to reducing line loss, supporting voltage regulation, or peak load shaving. Now, as a strategy for minimizing transmission distribution costs. So what these units can do, the modular ones, there's even one that's on a truck, so that if you have an issue with peak power, if you have an issue for that you need some extra generation, these can be brought in. So it will be a function of them that would, I think, be accordance with the purpose of distributed energy resources in this section. So it's really a rather minor thing, but I think appropriate, and I know given the governor's interest in getting the small modulars, as seen as something that we have a possibility to do for particular purposes, it's a total. We get a definition in statute, and we get a potential purpose that would mean they could be used.
Any comments?
Well, thank you for your work on this. I know I had a lot of notes on the original bill.
Yeah, well,
and
I
this
heard.
appears to
I heard.
take care of all of that, so I'll support the amendment.
Senator?
So this is replace all.
Yeah.
So what I like about it is that it doesn't call nuclear renewable. It just says it's clean or renewable. And I think that's very elegant.
Yeah, nuclear is mentioned already in statute as a clean source, not as, and so this is in accordance with what we've had in statute maybe for decades.
Okay, so it's been seconded, and it's been approved by Senator Pearl, so I guess we're all set to go. Any further discussion on the committee amendment? All in favor of the committee amendment?
Aye.
Aye opposed? Seeing none.
I'll move on to pass as amended.
Discussion, all in favor of ought to pass as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Consent.
Seeing none. Consent by Senator Waters, seconded by Senator Pearls. All in favor of consent?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Senator
I'll
Waters
take it
would
out,
love to
yeah.
take this one out.
Saw that he was volunteering so aggressively.
Really. Two more to go, folks.
All right. On 233, I actually have an official OLS amendment. Isn't that a thrill?
Wow.
Okay.
233.
And let me pass that around.
Is there a motion on 233?
Do people get this one or not? Okay, here you go. This is just hot off the press.
I'll move on to pass.
Seconded by Senator Pearl, Waters.
I'll move amendment 508S.
Second, okay.
Go ahead.
All right, so folks, we had the hearing on this, setting up this task force, which everybody thought seems to be a good idea. We know that storage is, we've got to look at, and the different forms of batteries we've got to look at. The changes here are note on line 10 to 11 that the added duty to the existing duties is to evaluate the use of an indexing storage credit model to incentivize storage market development. That was the core to my other bill on the indexing program, which we have I gotten rid of. I don't know, I told her what we did to it last week. So it takes the thing that ought to be studied out of that other bill and put it in here on line D. And then
Line 24. D.
On the amendment, it's lines 10 to 11, so it's adding a D there on the amendment. So, then, there was all the discussion around the potential funding from the Renewable Energy Fund for the study. Remember, it had 250,000. It seems pretty clear from discussions with DOE that that fund may not exist anymore, or may be swept. In talking with the parties involved, they thought that if we eliminated the funding, that they would be able to find, that, DOE said, we can, I talked to Chris Elm, he said, we can do this, we're happy to participate in this study, and we can make it work with other resources we may or may, without additional resources. It is also possible that one of the interested parties will find some funding if there is some need for a consultant. Why this becomes more doable is you'll see the changes in the reporting date, that we have extended the life of the body by another 6 months. So we'll get an interim report in December, and then a final report next June. So with that additional time, the kind of pressures on getting the work done and maybe needing consultants is lessened. So, as I said, I talked to Chris Elms yesterday. He said, this sounds fine to him, and this is where we're at.
On page 2, line 24, I had a strikeout of evaluate pilot programs for energy storage.
Yeah.
Evaluate the use of
That
indexing.
stays. But the indexing is added.
Right, okay,
Yeah, that's what we added in D.
okay.
Yeah,
Got-
it's right there.
All right, my
Okay?
apologies.
Yeah.
All right, further discussion.
I was just
Senator
confirming.
McConkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if I could to Senator Waters, line 12, members of the task force shall elect a chairperson. The first meeting shall be the first named House member. My question is, and I see to your knowledge on these things, but commissions, now task force, naming 2 people from the House, the unwillingness of the speaker. I know I'm sitting in a different body. If this is an important issue, why don't we have a senator sitting on top of it?
Let me, I'm sorry, I gotta get
Just,
to
my,
the,
my,
No,
my,
no,
my, my follow-up is that we're favorable, this body is favorable of appointing commissions and task force. And I don't want to stymie what I'm looking at here, and I'm not looking to have an amendment here, but I would just like us to think about that.
well, on page 2, it has 2 members of the House and 1 member of the Senate?
Yes.
Is that, so?
Yeah, I'm questioning, and you don't need to make an amendment here, sir.
What?
And if these commissions and committees are so important, then it should be, the House is going to strike it down to 1 anyway. So I would just like in the future thinking that a House member, a senator.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, no, I'm taking
I
no
know I didn't know the
exception.
House was doing that. Well,
Don't they usually put 3 members on one of ours?
yeah, usually. But they'll get the bill, and whatever they want to do.
I'm just saying, looking ahead.
Yeah, thank you,
On the
thank
number
you. I
of
was-
commissions and
Yeah.
things we have, if it's so important for this body to ask for a commission, then this body should be in charge of it, or have an agreement with the House ahead of time.
Senator Rosenwald.
So, following up on Senator McConkey's comments, maybe since it's a Senate bill, the first meeting should be called by the senator.
Oh, yeah, it should.
We could do that as a committee amendment,
So moved.
so that we know that we actually get it called.
Thank you.
So moved and,
So it should say on line 13,
seconded by Senator McConkey.
by the senator, by the named senator.
Can you
Well,
read that
just-
back to us, Max, just so we make sure you got that right?
Oh, I see what you're talking
So
about.
line 13, first meeting of the task force shall be called by the first named senator.
The only one.
First name
so-
Senate member.
Yeah, it'll be the senator, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sent by the Senate member, not the first name senator.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
All,
I didn't see that.
all in favor of the committee amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none.
Move out pass as amended.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of ought to pass as amended?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Consent.
Consent by Senator Waters, seconded by Senator Pearl. Discussion? All in favor of consent?
Aye.
Any opposed? Senator Waters, would you like this one?
Thank you.
All right. And for our final act, SB 234.
Well, I would, I'd like to move ITL unless you don't want me to.
I'd like you to move it.
All right, I move ITL.
Seconded by Senator Pearl. Discussion.
Yeah, so, we've had a lot of discussion because 236, is on a similar subject, and, there are some differences. Your bill is the one to go with, because it's more complete, and, there are some conversations underway about reconciling the two, and I imagine we'll have a hearing on your bill the week after break. So by that time, I think that the folks will talk with you and others, and it seems like just some fairly simple issues to resolve and there was a drafting error in 236 that'll get fixed up too.
And we're looking forward to fixing it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So, motion is ITL, Senator Waters, seconded by Senator Pearl. Senator Rosenwald, do you have a question?
Wondering why, if the bills are so similar, 234 has a giant fiscal note and 236 is not an FN bill at all.
Yeah, and the reason is because the 234 wanted to go from 1.5 to 2. I think that it's just not going to be possible to do that.
Okay,
So that's one thing, but there is some language, there are some issues that arise out of 236 that need to be resolved that 234 had done a little differently in the first part of it. So that's going to get worked on.
okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor of ITL?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Consent.
Second.
Consent. And all in favor of consent?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Senator Waters, would you like to take this one out?
Sure.
All right. All right. And so that completes the amount of bills that we are working on for today. And there's a motion to move out of exec, seconded by Senator Avard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Well done, committee. Good job.
Hot knife through butter, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, this is an efficient committee. Senator Rosenwald, I really do appreciate you being on there. Yeah, I like the fact that you get into the weeds, and I like it.
Well, I may get into the weeds, but I can't find my way out of the weeds.
That's all right. Just get in there.
We'll throw you
You would? No, it's very good. I appreciate you being here. Both of you and Senator McConkey.
Asking you to take those out.
I don't like to take, I'm the chair.